In this movie, we'll take a look at a little bit more complex functions than the one we did before. Those are the ones who accept parameters and then returns a value to us. Start off by opening up your Actions panel. I'm going to write a function that calculates the multiplication of four numbers that we insert ourselves. So we write function. I'll call it multi for multiplication. Inside the set of parentheses, I would write the parameters that this function will need to execute. I want it to calculate the multiplication of four numbers, so it will have four parameters. I'll call the first one n1. It's going to be of type number, comma, then n2. It's going to be also of type number, comma, n3, type number, comma, finally n4, also of type number. Now colon, we're not going to type void, because void means that this function will not be returning any value. Instead we will write number, which is the type of the value that this function will return. So if I had strings in here and I wanted this function to return a string, let's say it puts these four strings into a sentence, then the return value, then the function will return a sentence which is of type string. Then I write colon string instead of colon number. Then a set of curly braces, and here I will define a variable. I'll call it m. It's of type number. I'll set it equal to n1 asterisk, n2 asterisk, n3. That's the multiplication of n1, n2, n3, and n4. Semicolon, and then return m. And now I need to call my function. Just like we did before, we write the name of the function, but this time we don't type an empty set of parentheses, except I'm going to type within these parentheses the numbers that I want this function to execute. So let's say the first number, which is n1, is going to be 3, comma. The next number will be, say, 100, comma. The third number is going to be 1/3, comma. And the fourth number is going to be 0.05. Okay, now if I test my movie, I see that I have nothing in my output panel. That's because the value here, m, is being calculated, but I haven't traced it or used it in anything. I just simply calculated it and it's just sitting here doing nothing. Instead, I will put this inside of a trace statement. And pretty much here's the value returned by my function. I can also use the result of this function to define a new variable. So let's say I want to define, oops, why did I delete that? Let's say I wanted to define a new variable which is exactly the multiplication of these numbers, to use it all the time. So to define it, I simply write var, and then the name of the variable, call it num. It's of type number, and set it equal to this, and then trace num. Similar, same result. I can also set this variable to be this plus 5. So now num is 10. Let's do the same thing, except now with strings. I'll change the name of the function to text. And just for the sake of it, let's change this entire set here into t1. It's of type string, comma, t2 again type string, comma, t3. It's of type string. And then this function will be returning a string. call this variable t simply. It's of type string. Set it equal to t1 plus t2 plus t3, and then return t. Var txt, it's of type string. Set it equal to text, and then here I will place the string I want to be executed within my function. First out will be hello, comma. Again, I'm putting them inside quotation marks because this function accepts strings. In order for it to be a string, I have to put it inside quotation marks. T2 will be equal to space world, comma, and then space exclamation point. Then trace text, txt. Here we have it, hello world. Just in case you're wondering, Flash uses the plus sign to combine strings. So if I want to create a sentence composed of different words or different sentences for that matters, I can combine them using the plus sign. Functions that accept parameters will prove to be very handy when developing our applications.